Hi, I'm Alex. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. If you're a regular here, you can probably tell this is not my house. I am currently on a business trip, so me filming this video is going to look a little different than normal, but I thought that we would do my May 2023 reading wrap up. So as we speak, it's currently May 30th, but I have a pretty good idea of what things are going to look like at the end of the day tomorrow, so I thought we would just go over it together. Normally when I do these videos, I have the physical books, but today you'll just be getting pictures of covers. So the first book that I read this month was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is a YA romance novel, and one that a Haley fan talks about all the time, but has just become really big in the book talk, booktube, book Instagram world. It's about high schoolers. One of them is like obsessed with rom-coms, and she like falls for the guy that she's always kind of thought is the bad boy. But it's one of the most like popular YA romance novels ever. If you haven't read it yet, I would recommend. I rated it 4 stars. I felt like it was YA. There was just a little bit of like depth missing. It was just a happy, like go lucky teen relationship for the most part. The second book that I read this month was Vacation Wars by Megan Quinn. This is about a girl and her twin sister they're grown in this. I think they're 30, literally. And her twin sister, who they go to Greece every year. It's where her family always vacations. And there is a boy who works at the resort that her family vacations at, who she's always had a little crush on. And in this weird set of games, so there's a group of girls and they take over the FMC's like love life, and they're trying to set her up on dates so she can find somebody to be with, but then she starts spending time with Red Shorts guy. And I thought it was really good. I rated Vacation Wars 4.5 stars. I always love Megan Quinn's books. I just think they're so like quirky and fun. So would highly recommend if you haven't read that yet, and it is on Kindle Unlimited. Another 2 books that are on Kindle Unlimited, and I am not going to give you my rating of them, and I also am going to be very clear that I cannot recommend these books in good faith to anyone. No one. My best friend even asked me if she should read them, and I told her that I was not going to make that decision for her and provided her with a list of trigger warnings instead. And some spoilers on what some of those trigger warnings were about, and let her make the decision herself. So if you have questions, feel free to comment them about these, but I did read the Cat and Mouse Duet, Haunting and Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton this month. I do think that she did a really good job of portraying like sex trafficking and sort of like the horrors of that we sort of shove down, because we like to pretend it doesn't exist as a society. Did a really good job talking about that. I thought it was very interesting. I thought the books were really well written. They kept me entertained the whole time. There were moments, especially in the second book, of reading like this because and there were moments that were just extremely uncomfortable, so go in knowing that, but they're good pieces of fiction. The next book is Bossypants by Tina Fey. This was a book that I just needed something like fun and exciting to get me out of the Cat and Mouse Duet, and I think Tina Fey is hilarious. After listening to this book, and it's basically just about her life and mostly about like getting pulled from being a writer on SNL to starting 30 Rock and her like process from there. A lot of things about Amy Poehler. If you're a Parks and Rec fan, you'll hear a lot about her, so definitely I would recommend reading. I don't rate like memoirs and nonfiction books, so there will be no rating, but I did find it very amusing, and my husband and I have been watching 30 Rock ever since I read this book because I thought it was so good. Next, moving in to the books that I read in my Letting AI Choose My Books for a Week video. If you haven't seen it, I let ChatGPT pick the books that I read for a week based on some prompts that I gave it. So the first book that I ended up reading for that video was One of Us is Lying by Karen and McManus. I rated this 4 stars. It is about a group of high schoolers who all gets detention, and while they're there, one of them dies. And the rest of them sort of come under like criminal investigation because they're trying to figure out how the one kid died. I thought that this book was interesting. It took me like over 100 pages to fully be in it, which is why it's not getting 5 stars. I did already buy the second one, so I liked it enough to continue on with it, but I don't know. It wasn't as like gripping for me as like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, or some other similar books. The next book I read for that video was The Rosie Project by Graham Simpson. I rated this book 3.5 stars. It is about a geneticist who is looking for his like perfect wife, and he develops this whole like survey that is very specific to weed people out who he doesn't think he's going to mesh well with. So then he meets this girl Rosie who kind of teaches him how to love, and he realizes that he has Asperger's, and that's why he's always like sort of had issues. None of these things are spoilers, they're all on the back of the book. So that was The Rosie Project. My biggest issue with The Rosie Project, if you watched my AI video, was that the main character had a really large focus on people's body sizes and weights, and talked a lot about just like approximating people's BMIs. And the book was A, written by a male, and B, written in 2013. So both of those could have played into that, but it just kind of took me out a little bit and sort of bothered me. The last book that I read for that video was The Bride Test, which the plot of was sort of similar to The Rosie Project, actually, and this is by Helen Huang. So this is about somebody with Asperger's. I don't know if they specified, but he was autistic in some way, and his mom is sick of him being alone, so she goes and finds a woman for him and brings her back to the States, and she has to like seduce the guy and try to convince him that he wants to get married and have a family. So this book was extremely heartwarming. I thought that she did a great job. I think I actually liked this better than The Kiss Quotient, which is her other like huge book. So this one I rated 4 stars, and I would highly recommend it. The next book that I picked up in the month of May was Heartstopper Volume 2. I just wanted something quick. You'll see a couple of these as we go, but it's by Alice Oseman. I read Volume 1 last month during my 24-hour reading challenge, which I also posted on YouTube. I liked this one better than the first one. I still rated it 4 stars. I'll probably leave the whole series there, just because they're graphic novels, and I feel like they're YA, so a lot of the times they're not going to have that depth that I need in a romance to be 5 stars, but I did think it was really cute. I'm excited to read Volume 3. I've been considering getting it from my library on Libby and just reading it on my phone, because I'm currently on a book ban, and they're just cute, like heartwarming books. The next book that I read this month was Yours Truly, which honestly is one of my new favorite books. I loved this with my whole heart, by Abby Jimenez. I didn't say that. I rated it 5 stars, as you may have guessed by how I prefaced this, but it is about a woman who is getting divorced, and she is a doctor, and then she's about to get like this big promotion, and some new guy comes in, and they say that they're like letting him have a shot at the promotion, and she immediately like hates him, but then they become friends and they write letters to each other, and it is just so cute. The best part about Yours Truly for me was that Jacob, who is our male main character, actually has pretty severe social anxiety, So you see a lot of the things that as a partner one should learn to help reduce anxiety of your significant other. And then for Brianna, you're watching her struggle with like trust issues and attachment issues and things like that from both her dad leaving and now going through a divorce. And there's some more depth to that there, but it is it's very heartwarming. I did cry. I just loved I loved this book. The next book I read this month was Killjoy by Holly Jackson, and I'm a big fan of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I think Five Survive sounds really good, and I do still want to read it, but there is an event that happens at the very end of Killjoy that shouldn't have happened. It sort of ruined the rest of the series for me, and really bothered me. I wish that it had been left out. So I did rate it 3 stars because I liked the writing, but that one event it just bothered me, and I can't get it out of my head now. So if you want to know what I'm talking about and you have read it, I posted a like spoiler TikTok about it, which I will link below. Next book that I read this month was The Goal by Elle Kennedy. I have not picked up a book from the Off-Campus series since September, I think, at which point I declared that I was done, and I will just say I'm so happy that I have no self-control and went and bought The Goal anyways, because I started reading it simply so I could get to the legacy, so I could start reading a little about Graham and Hannah again, but honestly, The Goal was just so good. I made the joke that I'm not sure if John Tucker must die or if we love him now. I think he's one of my favorite book boyfriends of all times. I adored the way he treated Sabrina, even when she was being a little cold and callous. So I loved that. It's an absolutely he falls harder, he falls first. If you like any of those, John Tucker is your man. And also there's so much of Garrett and Hannah in this book that I loved it. I ate up every second. I read it so slow because I just wanted to keep being in the world with the characters at Briar U, and I just loved it. Definitely my favorite so far. The next book I read was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I have been listening to Sarah Caroli talk about this book forever. I'm sure if you are a big booktube person, you have been listening to her talk about it as well. I don't think I said I rated The Goal 4.5 stars, but I also rated Rock, Paper, Scissors 4.5 stars. It's about a couple that goes up to a remote little town in Scotland for a weekend, and they say that it's either going to save their marriage or one of them is not going to walk out alive. There's a past present timeline, and you really can't say anything other than that without spoiling the book, so I'm going to stop there. But Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney was really, really good. Again, 4.5 stars. And then I read Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This is about a woman whose daughter is kidnapped, and the police closed the case saying that she ran away, and she sees this little girl who looks scarily like her daughter, and has the mannerisms that are scarily like her daughter, who's 1 year younger than the number of years since her daughter disappeared. So it's kind of a fun thing, but like I said, it was super predictable. Even from that description, you may be able to guess what the big plot twists are. And I was expecting to love this book. I've seen so many people rate it 5 stars, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. I guessed every single plot twist in the book probably within the first 25 pages. I thought it was extremely predictable, and yes, that makes it easy to follow, but I don't know. It didn't leave much to the imagination. So I rated that 3.5 stars. And then the final book that I am currently reading, I'm about 20% of the way through it right now, but I have no doubt that between tonight and tomorrow I will finish it, is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I really like Icebreaker so far. If you've never heard of it, it's about it's like a hockey team and an ice skating team, and something happens to the hockey team's ranks, so then they have to share one, and obviously drama ensues. That's kind of where I'm at in the book right now, so I don't know what happens beyond that. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you read some of the books on this list. If you're going to read the Cat and Mouse Duet, please look up trigger warnings. Please, 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 please. I cannot emphasize that enough. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.